Hello, folks. I don't see anybody there just yet. Hopefully, it's just delaying people uh, getting into the session. We'll give it just a minute for everybody to be joined. I'm actually going to. Now I'm curious. I wonder if one of the previous sessions went a little long.
Maybe, or maybe no one's coming.
You know what? I'm going to kick off the little hype video with it. If you are out there, perhaps you've seen, as this is day 3. Here we go. Hey, there we go. We're starting to see some people chime in there, Meg. Starting to see those numbers drive up. Excellent, excellent. Going to share our first slide here to everyone out there. Hello and welcome. You're at day 3 of BB Dev Days, which I'm sure you already know because you've probably already been to a number of sessions today. My name is Ryan Turner. I'm a customer success manager here at Blackbaud. I'm joined by Meg Radford, and we're here to talk about GrantsConnect, simplifying program setup and workflows within the system. I will do a little bit of a housekeeping before we go ahead and get started, which if you've joined us for any of our other sessions, you've probably already seen, but never a bad idea just to quick review them. If you're having issues with audio or visual, please refresh your browser. You may have to log out and log back in as well. That will almost always take care of the issues. A couple other notes. This is being recorded. It'll be available generally within about a day after the event, although I heard we're going a little bit quicker for these BB Dev Days sessions. You can download the slides. That's a question I've seen on a number of these presentations. Under the docs section over there to the right, you should see the chat messages, docs, and Q&A. The docs section has these slides, and you can download those for your use. And then one note that I always like to make, I love people engaging in the chat, saying hello, where you're from, what organization you're with, building a little bit of a community out of the people that are joining us for this session today. So use the chat, the doc section for these slides, but I would specify when and if you have questions as we go through these, that you're going to want to use the question and answer section. That will alert us that there's a question in there, and also so it doesn't get like lost in the chat if you just enter a question in the chat. And also one of the requests I have when you're submitting questions, try to be a little bit specific, because sometimes we get to the question a few minutes after the section you had a question on, so we're not sure what it's related to. We'll ask for clarity if that's the case, but if you can specify in your question up front, we can make sure we're answering the question you had for us. That's it with my housekeeping. That's it with my introduction. I'm now going to pass you off to Meg Radford, who's really the person who knows what she's talking about here, to introduce herself and then get on with the show. Meg?
Well, perfect. Well, thank you very much for that nice introduction, and welcome everybody to BB Dev Days. I'm excited to talk to you today about some projects that we're working on in GrantsConnect. So I'll start by introducing myself again. I'm Meg Radford. I am the Senior Product Manager for GrantsConnect. I live in Bend, Oregon, and my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I've been at Blackbaud for about 4 years. So that's a little bit about me. Let's move into the presentation. So let's see. Okay, so we have a pretty simple agenda today. Really, I'm just want to talk to you about some UX research that we're doing, what our goals are in this UX research, and how we're thinking about tying AI into some of our into the future project. And also, we're going to end with an invitation to collaborate. So we're going to have We have some pilot projects and some discovery, and I would love to have your input into that. So, for 1 second here. So, for those of you that don't know GrantsConnect, let's dive right in. I'll just give you a little background so that I can orient you. So, just to set the stage, GrantsConnect is a platform that supports the full grant making lifecycle from your application all the way through intake and awards disbursement. We even have processing. And it's designed with extensibility in mind. So for developers, this means structured data and a growing set of APIs that will make integration and automation possible. And more on our APIs in the next presentation. But for today, I'll continue to ground you a bit in what GrantsConnect does. Hang on 1 sec. So, great. So this is what GrantsConnect is all about. We have we can allow our clients to save time and gain insights and stay in control with this purpose-built solution for corporate grant makers. So it's engineered specifically for the complex workflows and operational needs of corporate grant makers. We built the platform with a focus on modularity and scalability. So we deliver a robust feature set that simplifies administrative overhead without compromising on power and flexibility. So from the ground up, we've designed a system with all of these user personas in mind. So for admins, grant managers can benefit from configurable workflows and an intuitive UI that helps reduce friction in their day-to-day operations. And review teams, grant review teams, get a streamlined, accessible interface that supports efficient decision-making and scoring and all the things that you might want to do in a review. And for applicants, they experience a clean, guided submission process that minimizes confusion and support requests. So it's important to note that GrantsConnect is actually two portals. We have a admin portal for our grant managers and an applicant portal for applicants. And most of this presentation today will be talking about our grant manager experience. But ultimately, GrantsConnect is all about saving time and helping corporations get grant dollars to organizations. And so just to orient everyone, GrantsConnect is about more than just what you might think of as traditional grant making. It can be leveraged across community investment efforts beyond traditional foundation or corporate grants, things like in-kind product donations, scholarships, and sponsorships. And it even can manage the application process for employee relief funds. So let's talk a little bit about this UX project that we have embarked upon. What our goals are in this project is what we're working to do is to streamline our workflows, which really in GrantsConnect is the meat of the product. It's where all the magic happens and where grant managers can assign deadlines for applications. They can have follow-up emails be submitted. There's really where everything takes place. And so we're committed to streamlining those workflows by removing unnecessary steps and friction points so that users can accomplish their tasks with greater speed and ease. And we're also committed to reducing the cognitive load on our users by designing interfaces that are clean, consistent, and easy to navigate to help our users stay focused and confident. Ultimately, all of this supports our most important goal, which is to increase user confidence and success. So when users feel empowered and supportive, they're more likely to engage deeply and return with trust and confidence. So the transformation that we're working on isn't just about better design. It's about creating a smarter and more human-centered experience that drives real results. So many of you might be familiar with this. It's been around for many years, but it's still relevant today. So let's take a moment to ground our design approach in this project with this proven framework, which is Nielsen's 10 usability heuristics. So these are foundational principles for creating intuitive, user-centered interfaces. They include concepts like the visibility of the system status, user control, error prevention, things like this. So in our current project, we're actively applying these heuristics to our simplified program and streamline workflows project. So we can walk through a few of these. In terms of visibility of system status, we want to ensure that users receive immediate feedback during setup, like progress indicators and confirmation messages, so that they always know what is happening. We want there to be a match between GrantsConnect and the real world. So we want to use familiar language and visuals that align with the mental models that users already have, so that they don't have to learn it, and that will reduce their learning curve. We want to have user control and freedom. So we want to have things like undo options and the ability to exit, so that you can feel confident exploring your options without the fear of making irreversible mistakes. And that is a big confidence builder. We want to have consistency of standards. So we're going to work on standardizing our terminology, so that, again, it's about cognitive load, just to make that easier to navigate through the product. And importantly, we're working on error prevention. So instead of just handling errors, we want to set the user up for success so that we can prevent them from making errors. So things like, if you can't do it, don't show the option to do it, right? So we want to have these disable irrelevant inputs and have validation in real time. We want to build in the ability to have recognition rather than recall. So we're minimizing the memory load by surfacing relevant options and information contextually when users need them, and not giving them information if they don't need it. So, and this all sort of sums up to building in flexibility and efficiency. So we also want to introduce shortcuts and smart defaults for experienced users, all the while keeping the interface approachable for newcomers. So by embedding these heuristics into our design process, we seek to improve not just usability, but the entire user experience into something that feels more effortless and efficient. So here's the key question that we are asking ourselves sort of at each turn in this design project. We are asking, what if setting up, managing your grant program felt more like a conversation and not a configuration? So that's the promise. So as we look ahead, our vision for GrantsConnect is taking shape to make it as intuitive as it is powerful. And here's the kicker. So driven by AI, this is where we want to start talking about bringing AI in, but designed for humans. So we don't just want to enhance our features. We want to rethink the way that users interact with our platform. So going back to that question that I just showed you. So why should we do this now? Because corporate grant making is becoming more complex, and our grant managers need tools that will simplify and not complicate their work. So what we are starting to imagine is a setup experience that starts with a few simple, tailored questions. And this front loading of information is a total paradigm shift for GrantsConnect. So from there, we would like the AI to begin to step in and start helping to recommend configurations that might be based on the type of grant or the region, or perhaps the grant manager's goals. We will then surface real-world examples from similar programs. We'll offer contextual tips, and we'll apply smart defaults. We want to prevent the user from having to start from scratch with any of their process. And as our grant managers move through the process, we want to provide support. So as I mentioned with the heuristics, we want to reduce errors, which will speed the setup and increase confidence. So this is the future that we're building towards, something that is more human-centered, to have the grant manager work with the system instead of have the system tell the grant manager what to do. So as we explore how AI might enhance GrantsConnect, we're also thinking quite deeply about how these design experience, how to design these experiences in ways that feel helpful and not overwhelming. The principles that are specific to AI that we're considering as we shape this vision are: we want AI to be transparent in our product. So users should understand why the AI is making a suggestion to them. We want to avoid black box type experiences that are called that because users can see the input and the output, but they don't know how they got there or why the system, might have made that suggestion to them. So we also believe that users should always have control in the product, and we want to have the ability for a grant manager to override or adjust any AI input or output. And in keeping with Blackbaud AI principles, we will always keep a human in the middle between the AI and the output, so that the human is making the actual decisions about whether or not to accept the suggestions, in order to keep that it human-centered in that way. The guidance should also be relevant to the user's role and their context. And we want to build in feedback loops that will help the user improve their experience over time. So this is all about aiming to make a complicated experience feel simple and to make these interactions feel clear and focused. So this is a little bit of what it might look like. So these are the thoughtful questions, a couple of examples of what we're working with. So these are two examples of some screens that you might encounter when you first log into GrantsConnect, maybe for the first time, or maybe for your, or maybe you're just setting up your second program or your yearly update to your program, something like that. So the first thing you might do is come in here, and on your left, you see it says, what's your top goal with GrantsConnect? So if you select that, addressing hunger is your top goal, we'll see that. We're going to see that information leveraged thoughtfully throughout the product after you answer that question. And I'll show you a little bit more about that as we continue. And you can see in this second example, it says select your industry. So in this case, let's say you picked my industry is banking. Well, then later on in the product, you might see some options to include some CRA questions or reporting. That's Community Reinvestment Act. Or if you're a retailer, you might see some application questions that would be related to in-kind donations, because we often see that our retailing clients give in-kind donations. So, and there's the full set of these questions is still being defined, and this is something that we will be discovering. But we believe that starting with these thoughtful questions is really the key to unlocking this downstream power. So, so there's some other ways that we think that we might be able to use AI. So we started with those thoughtful questions up front, and here we'll see them trickle down through the product. So one thing that might happen is when you go to build your workflow, build your forms, do your emails, you might see a bunch of templated suggestions already set up for you. So again, you don't have to start from scratch. So based on your program type, your funding, your eligibility criteria, we could recommend the most relevant templates to you. based on that. We can also autofill some fields, right? So based on the information we already know about you, we can have information pre-filled in a lot of these forms for you, which will make things a lot easier. Also, something that we're investigating is integrating publicly available data in here. So one example of this that we're thinking about is that we might be able to provide the IRS tax documents that a applicant would normally provide without them having to, upload it and do all the things that they need to do currently. And so you can see another use that we're thinking of here, and this is our grant managers don't currently have any interface like this. This would be likely using AI to place all the important things about your program on a calendar. So you can plan, you can see when all of your deadlines are at a glance, and these would be maintained and would really be helpful for you as you move throughout your process. Also easy, will help some troubleshooting easier, make that easier as well. So let me advance that. Another place where we are looking at using AI to make it more human-centered is that we're looking at personalization. So specifically, how can GrantsConnect adapt based on what we already know about our grant manager and their grant programs? So for example, if a user is working on a program they've worked on before, we can surface recently used templates, reports, or tools that might be most relevant to that program. So over time, the system can learn from the grant manager how each program is set up and how they use it, and begin to anticipate what users might want to see next, and bring those elements to the forefront as suggestions, only as suggestions, to reduce friction and save time. And again, that goal of this is to create a more intuitive and efficient experience. Okay, and so you can see here that this is really a new concept for GrantsConnect, and it's something that we're working through. We are looking at building sort of node-looking interface. It won't look like this when we're all done, but this definitely gives you the idea, right? Where we will have visual nodes where the grant manager can set up each little thing that they want to happen. A review process, then an email is sent. They can drag and drop them into the places. You can see on there, they can make decision trees. If yes, make it go this way. So that's conditional logic. If no, it will go to the other pile of not approved in the review, something like that. So where AI plays a role in this is AI can help suggest which nodes that you might want. As I mentioned before, something like if you're a bank, they might suggest that you could perhaps want a Community Reinvestment Act module, because that's something that we've seen a lot. And it can also pre-fill a lot of these forms and dates that you've already specified elsewhere in the product. And so we're really looking forward to seeing how that can make the workflow setup process much easier. So you have a visual drag and drop, you have suggested modules and actions. And then another part, which I'll show you in a minute, is more about staging. So I'm going to move us forward. Hopefully this will play. And I don't think this will play. Okay, so I'm just going to talk you through this. Lesson learned on that. That's not going to play, but that's okay. I can tell you what happens. So you've really already seen this screen, but we have a prototype that sort of walks you through it. And if you're interested, put a note in the survey at the end, and I'd be happy to show it to you. So basically, the thing that you haven't heard about yet is that as you go through your setup, you get to the workflow builder, which I just showed you, and I think I'll go back so you can see that. And one thing that we showed you in that prototype video there is that at the end, after you've set up your workflow, you can test it. And this might be a place where we use AI too, right? To validate whether all the rules that you've set up are conflicting, whether they're going to work, whether your permissions are right. So we see that as a really powerful way as well. So I'm going to skip past that slide. And I will tell you a little bit about our next up product. So I told you most of what we've been talking about is sort of a longer term vision, right? But we do have a few things coming out for AI in the very near term. So you may already know this, but GrantsConnect has had AI for years. We use it for our in-product translations today, but we're about to come out with another one for you. And we're calling it Form Intelligence. So it's designed to help you perfect your forms so you can make a better experience for your applicants. And we all know that reducing applicant burden is a big goal of our grant managers. So this next AI power, I mentioned we're going to call it Form Intelligence. And it's going to assist, at first, it's going to assist with things like spelling and grammar. So you're going to make your form, let's say it's an application form that you plan to send out to your applicants for your next program. So we're going to have some spelling and grammar checked for all the questions that you've written. So, but that's really just the beginning. So after that, we're going to empower it to help you identify redundant questions, ensure alignment, and readability and clarity. So all of these things will help you align between your form content and your program goals. And that's actually coming out very soon. We're kicking off a pilot project for Form Intelligence, and we are actively looking for participants. So if you are willing to share feedback and like to check out AI, you could join our pilot program and help shape the future of GrantsConnect. So if you are interested in participating, please let us know in the survey at the end of the presentation. And so, so just as I mentioned, AI is already a part of the GrantsConnect experience today, and we are very soon going out with our Form Intelligence feature, which will help you make your forms, will help you polish up your forms for your applicants. But we're not stopping there. We're thinking about a lot of other things that we want to do in the product. It's an exciting time to be working with AI. So we're actively exploring some additional AI-powered features that might further enhance the platform. We're looking at AI-generated application summaries and scoring to help you review more quickly and more consistently. And we're looking at possibly a rule-based auto approval for certain possibly low-risk applications, or some other parameter and to reduce the manual workload that we all have. As I mentioned, we're also looking at AI-assisted staging environments for testing inside the product, and also expanding translation capabilities to support even more languages and use cases. So all of these ideas are still in the exploratory phase, and your input into these is incredibly valuable. So we'd love to hear what features you find the most useful, what concerns you might have, and where you see the greatest opportunity for AI to support your work. And so, as I just mentioned, we have a discovery program, and I put a link in here. Can they link that? Can they click on that?
Whoop. I don't believe they can live from the screen,
okay.
Meg, but you should be able to scan that QR code with their phones.
Okay, great. So scan that with your codes, and if you don't want to do that right now, the presentation is available for download in the docs section, and you could click on it there. But basically, this is just a few questions. As a product manager, I can't leave any interaction without asking some questions. So, and if you'd like to participate in our pilot project, please put your email in there so that we can follow up with you and get you involved.
I'm also going to share the link. I should be able to get it from the presentation and put it into the chat.
Thank you. So I just want to mention that before we before we wrap up, that BBCon 2025 is just around the corner, and we are busy at Blackbaud planning for it. We would love to have you join us at this event. I'll be there, and I would love to see you. It is a conference that has a lot of opportunities for networking, learning, and growing, and I will say some fun as well. It has lots of sessions by industry experts. I'll be there giving a session. It has hands-on workshops for you to enhance your skills, and it also has a bunch of opportunity to learn some innovative solutions that you can use to drive your organizations forward. So right now I'm told they're still offering early bird pricing. So if you're interested, you can get a discounted rate through July 8th. And you can find out more details on that at our official site, bbconference.com. So let's see. With that, I'll move to questions. And we're going to do questions in the chat. And I'm going to look through right now.
I'm not seeing a bunch of questions in there right now, Megan. We got Daniel in the background sort of helping out as we go along.
Okay, fantastic.
Perhaps we launch the survey as we approach 5 minutes left. I can do that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. And I just want to thank everyone for coming. I appreciate your time. And my email is in this thank you slide. So feel free to follow up with me directly.
There we go. And I didn't know you were from Bend.
Yes.
You learn something new every day. Well, we do appreciate everybody joining. We do ask you fill out that survey, please. It's important to have as much feedback as we can on these things. Meg, really appreciate you walking us through this. I know a lot of that. I know particularly I'm looking forward to the AI capabilities to sort of help with form creation, advise some, maybe this is worded poorly, or maybe this is a redundant question, that sort of thing. Anything to streamline applications and make it easier on the applicant is always very welcome.
Absolutely.
I'll hold just a minute, make sure everybody can fill out that survey if they want, and give anybody a chance to ask last-minute questions. But other than that, we have another session in about 15 minutes here with Meg, if you'd like to join that one. That one dives a little bit deeper into APIs.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, folks. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you later.